Cloud.
For some reason, it just didn't work. No?
Good evening. I'd like to call the special business meeting of the Portland Board of Public Education to order. It is Tuesday, October 9th, 2018.
December 9th.
And the Board of Public Education is meeting in Casco Bay High School in room 200. Would the superintendent please call the roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Mr. Atkinson, Ms. Seeliger, Ms. Vendale, Ms. Davis, Ms. Thompson,
Here.
Ms. Morioni,
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Presente.
Mr. Balfons,
Here.
Ms. Clater, Ms. Farah, Ms. Yuri,
Here.
Ms. Power-Rakowski, and Chair Tavaro.
Here. And Ms. Clater did let us know that she is traveling, doing college visiting this evening and won't be with us. Ms. Powers-Rakowski may be able to join us later, but may not. And Ms. Davis is still recovering from injuries. I think that's all the, and Tim is here. Mr. Atkinson is here. I don't have a chair report this evening where this is a special meeting. And we don't have a superintendent report. And we do not have a report of the students. Okay. So we don't have anything on the agenda except for the new business item. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip to new business. We have the first read on the Appointments Committee, recommended enrollment and capacity commission membership. And we have consideration and action to approve the allocation of $11,000 from the board contingency fund to be used for 3 board members to attend the 2019 National School Board Association's annual conference in the spring. And I'd ask for a motion for that. Ms. Thompson, seconded by Ms. Morioni. Ms. Thompson.
Right out of the gate, I'd like to propose an amendment, please, to the motion. We had discussed 4 board members going, so if we could just change the quantity to 4 board members,
Yep.
that would be great. I don't know if I have a second on the motion.
And seconded by Ms. Morioni. If that's a motion that you made, I don't know that we need to vote on the amendment. I think it was.
That's just a typo. We knew, I mean, the attached information shows that there are 4 members who have expressed interest in attending, so that's just, this is what happens when you cut and paste from last year's where there were 3, so.
Moving on up.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Does the superintendent want to speak to this motion?
So we have in the packet the projected costs for this trip. The reason that we, as I mentioned earlier, put this on the agenda now is because the early registration opens on the 11th, and so that is this week. And so rather than wait for next week, we wanted to be in ahead of time. And since we were meeting, we just decided to go ahead and have that put on the agenda for tonight. So this is for Mr. Balfons, Ms. Morioni, Mr. Rodriguez, and Ms. Thompson to attend the NSBA conference, which this year will be in Philadelphia. That's the National School Boards Association. It's something that I believe for the last 3 years the board has attended. So different numbers of people from everybody went, I believe, in when it was in Boston to we had a couple of people go to Denver. 3 people went to San Antonio last year, and now we have 4 people. I also believe that there has been conversation about having the current student reps also attend the NSBA conference as part of their development as student leaders. So I don't know, Mr. Rodriguez, if you are planning to talk about that. I know that you've been having conversations with the students about that. So.
Yes, thank you, Superintendent. So if the proper way of doing this is to propose an amendment so that we change the amount that's being allocated from the contingency fund, I'll do that. But my intent was to offer an invitation to the student reps to attend the conference with us And I've had just some conversations with individual board members and, of course, with the student reps to ensure that they would be interested, because it means nothing if it's something that sounds great to me and they're really not interested. But they did show interest, and they see it as a great opportunity to gain leadership skills, to gain knowledge, and to further grow. As our job as proponents of public education is to open doors and to allow opportunities for our students. And here we are with a great opportunity for some amazing students that have shown an interest in helping this district become stronger. So I would like to extend an invitation to the 3 students that are currently serving on the board, Ms. Tiana Ure, Isabel Clater, and Anna Powers. With the way that we've looked at the per person cost, to have 3 additional people would mean that we'd amend this motion to allocate an additional $8,000. That would bring it up to $19,000 from the board contingency fund. And even that amount, I want to remind the board that it includes some pre-conference workshops that we might or might not have the students attend, because I have some other agenda items or some other activities that they might benefit from that's more geared specifically to students that might not have an additional cost. And I guess we could also contemplate other ways that the per person cost might not apply to the students. But again, I initially was just to consider allocating the additional funds. So should I just offer the amendment? Would that be the right thing?
You can offer the amendment now, yes.
Awesome. So, I'll offer an amendment to add the additional $8,000 and brings the allocation to $19,000. So, consideration and action to approve an allocation of $19,000 from the board's contingency fund to be used for 4 board members and 3 student reps to attend the 2019 National School Board Association Annual Conference in the spring.
Any questions on the amendment? Ms. Thompson?
I guess the first question I would have is the board student reps that we have now will be 4 months off the board at that time, because we swear in new student reps in December 1, and this is not until April 1. And so I'm not opposed to having student reps go, because I want them to get the most of it, but the particular ones we have now will not, unless they run again, to serve, to be on the school board, would not be the reps at that time. And I think that's a concern I would have. Also, I know that Mr. Rodriguez was looking into it. They used to have a track for youth, and there is not a track any longer. And there are some sessions that could be appropriate for anybody to attend. So I guess my question to Mr. Rodriguez is, one, I know you were having some conversations with some of the people there, have they had actual conversations with people that are there now running the conference? And did they have ideas for you, or how they would make sure that they got the most benefit out of it? And then about the particular members going.
Yeah, so, good questions, and that did come up in my conversations. So Derek Peterson is the person who I've been speaking with, and he ran the youth track for the NSBA for about 3 years. And then when it did not catch on and they moved away from it, he went back to what he does, which is consulting for school boards throughout the country to help them develop policy and ways to support student reps. So he's, like I said, over 20 years spending specifically trying to support student reps. We thought that let me clear my head. I lost my thought completely. We thought that it'd be an opportunity for the current reps, even if they're not serving, as a recognition of their service. We find that the skills and what they could gain in the conference is something that they could potentially carry through their entire lives and careers. Much like I expect professional development to transcend my work on the board and help me in my professional life or my career, where it probably helps me communicate with my wife more efficiently from time to time as I learn to be a better listener. But I did explore extending the invitation to the incoming board members. And I think that next year we're going to have a full slate of student reps, which we have not had over the last year, which means that we'd be extending the invitation to 5 student reps, because if you recall, that we will have an adult ed representative next year. So I figure having these 3 student reps attend would be a good recognition of their work, and that they have shown that they're going to, I mean, to me, it's pretty clear that these 3 young people are going to be strong contributors to our community, and I just want to help with their growth. I felt this was a good opportunity.
The other thing that I would just add to that is from a school perspective, and Mrs. Suri can speak to that as well, is that as seniors, that second semester tends to be a little bit less charged than the junior second semester. So I think it would probably be a little easier to get away for 5 days if you at that point than it might be as a junior.
And I'm sorry, and I think the second part of your question, Ms. Thompson, as far as the sessions. So Mr. Peterson he and I did discuss ahead of the conference, looking at the sessions that are available, and really, with the students, really identifying, number one, what would be of interest to them, what would be not necessarily appropriate, because I think everything in the conference will be appropriate, but what would be meaningful to their contributions as students and of course, as members of our community. And I went back, and I should have brought it today, but I went back and I looked at the book of sessions from when we went to San Antonio last year, and I mean, just quickly browsing through it, I said, I bet that this one would be interesting to a student. There's a lot of stuff about leadership. There's a lot of stuff about, new educational issues that are coming up. There might or might not be something about proficiency-based learning. I shouldn't have said that. I was able to quickly identify a handful of courses that, to me, I would have thought it would be interesting to have a conversation with the reps about attending.
Ms. Thompson.
And I guess my last question, I know we've had over the years numerous conversations around student travel and the liability and what it opens us up to liability-wise for having them travel. So is that something that we've looked into as a district, that they would be covered through our liability because they are school board members, but at that time they will no longer be school board members, so school board liability doesn't extend to that. So I want to make sure insurance-wise and legal-wise that they would be covered.
That's a good question, and I've not looked into it, but I definitely will. And, I'm sure that, that we can make it work if it's not a problem with the insurance company. So, but we've not checked that, but we will.
Okay. So we could technically, if we approve it this evening, contingent upon having liability to cover them?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to ask Ms. Uri if she had any follow-up answers to Ms. Thompson's question.
Hi. Wait, is this?
Yeah, that's always on.
Hello? I definitely do. So as you guys know, I will be leaving the board in December, as it is sort of a one-year term. However, I am incredibly grateful for the skills and the experiences that I've gained here. I have definitely learned so much, and I hope that you guys have seen that development a little bit. That for sure, after I leave this board, my advocacy and contribution to the Portland Public Schools is not going to end. I love the school district, as you guys know, and my senior project, or my senior expedition, which is a year-long intersection of a passion and a need in the world, is school budgeting. And I love education, and I think that this conference will be incredibly beneficial to me, both in my own professional development, moving into finance in college, as well as just being part of the Portland Public School District, being on the Metro Advisory Committee, and especially advocating within Casco Bay. So you guys will definitely see me around city chambers after I am no longer on the board, but I would so fully appreciate really making the most of my time on the board and in this conference especially. And hopefully the skills that I would potentially gain there would allow me to pay back what you guys have given me to the school district. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Ms. Morioni.
First, I want to thank Mr. Rodriguez for bringing this forward, and we've discussed it, and my concern was, as well as Ms. Thompson's, with regards to timing of everything. And we've always discussed we would love all of our board members to have this opportunity, first and foremost, and just calculating sort of dollar amounts and so forth. If we all went, it starts to add up. Then you add on 5 additional students. I'm just trying to keep tabs on our bills, coming in. But so saying that's the sort of more pragmatic side of me. But on the other side of me, in terms of looking at our students and seeing what they have contributed and the number of hours they've spent with us, which is, for us as adults, we've committed to this and we were elected to serve, and our students, they have really added a new dimension and a voice, and I really appreciate that. So I think to have them come, as Mr. Rodriguez said, as a way to thank you for doing that, but also there was a student group, not this past year, but the year before, we paid for them to go to Washington, D.C. for a leadership conference for a week, and they came back to report to the board about that week, and it was extremely beneficial to them, and it was, again, a way to show our thanks. And I think that I don't necessarily want to lock this in every year. I would like for this to be something that we consider every year, but depending on the budget and depending also on what we may have available to offer as a thank you to our students, I like this idea a lot. And another thought I had was I really want to make sure that, just like that group of students came back and reported on their leadership conference in Washington, D.C., that this group of students would not only come back and share, as we all will who attend the conference, to share for the full board and the community what we gained, but also I really want to make sure we're supporting and growing the sort of mentoring of current student board representatives to new student board, to make sure there is not just, okay, goodbye, and these new students. And it takes several months, if not the full year, to really get up to speed to what we're even talking about half the time. I would love to make sure we foster that. So I kind of want to make this also contingent on the fact that not only that you're going to, I agree, I totally know you will stay involved and be a part of our work and community, but I think if there's some way that we put contingencies around, yes, they will also come back just as the board members will and report on what they have learned at the conference, but also that they will then agree to embark on collaboration and mentoring with the new student reps, because that's, I think, been a piece I've wanted to see it more off the ground, to see start. So that's kind of all I have to say, but I would love for our students to join us, and I think, again, they're our future, and the more we can do to foster that and to show that that's where our board is focusing and thinking is extremely important. So thank you.
Ms. Thompson?
So I'm just going to concur and not go through it. I think that the reports is a great idea, and I think that we need to get in the habit, too, as a board, of those of us that go on the trips. I know Ms. Morioni and I reported back from Colorado, but we did not, unfortunately, report back to all of you while it was fresh in our mind when we were back from Texas. I know we all have a bunch of handouts and things of that nature we can still share, and from what we recall. But I think we also, for the board members going, it has to be contingent upon that we report back to show what we learned and share with others as well, and get that as part of our routine.
Ms. Crocker?
Just to take the opportunity for a shout out for Nellie Mae, when we were able to send the 4 student board reps to the Washington, D.C. leadership experience, that was Nellie Mae money, which provided that awesome opportunity for them. And off they went alone.
Anybody else?
Mr. Rodriguez?
Just one more thing. As part of the conversations that I've had with individual board members, it did come up that maybe we should go back and look at the student rep policy and how it reads, and maybe there are some things that we can alter through the policy that governs them and their inclusion on the board. I would just like to add that to the mentoring piece, that is something that I've gotten to learn a little bit more about how we can effectively mentor. It really is kind of like a systemic thing. I don't think that you can have a student mentor a student. I think it's a systemic thing where you have, I'm going to steal from somebody else, is a web of support, right? Where it's like, literally, if I'm mentoring somebody, I probably need somebody to teach me how to mentor and somebody to watch my back, and then that person probably needs somebody else as well. So it becomes like, a group effort. But I do like the idea of peer mentoring and having the overlapping. I know we discussed having overlapping terms where somebody who's been here for over a year can then have the experience to share with the newcomers. I know that that's kind of how us board members rely on each other when we first come in. We sort of kind of lean on the ones that have more experience. But I did bring up the comments that were made about looking at the policy to the superintendent. We've duly noted, and when the policy committee is able to bring that up, we'll take a look at it and see if there's ways through the policy that we can continue to support the students.
Great. Okay. So we've kind of gone from questions into, but that's okay. We don't have any public here, so I think we can be a little more fluid tonight.
I also think we don't have a second to that.
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
Oh,
We did? Who seconded it?
And we both missed it.
Ms. Marioni seconds. So I think this is a good idea. I guess my question is, are we okay with just approving this as is? Do we feel like we need to write some of these contingencies into the motion, or can we just take those kind of under advisement and work to incorporate them? People seem okay with that. Ms. Yuri?
Oh, sorry. Actually, I had a question. I really liked the idea of mentoring the future board members. I was planning to do that anyway. Actually, Matt Suslovic helped mentor me when I first came into this role, and that was incredibly beneficial to me, and I would love to pass that on to whoever comes into this seat next. However, I was wondering if it's a contingency, is there a way the board will be monitoring or tracking it, or is there any sort of report or assignment I should be passing in to show that I am mentoring this person, as well as the presentation? Since I will no longer be in the board, would I just come in for public comment?
Dissertation.
You're asking what are you going to be graded on?
How will I demonstrate my work?
Ms. Morioni?
I think Mr. Rodriguez hit the nail on the head. In terms of contingency, I would rather us go back to our policy and ensure that's strong around the mentoring idea. I think right now it's just a concept that to pass along to the students that do go, that we're working on that idea, and the more that they could take that into advisement until we get the policy framed out and understand a bit more around how you would actually do that. You're right. But as of now, you're going to be fine. I give you a 4. Yeah, so, that's all.
I'm sorry, one last thing. I'm talking a lot. I think it's worth noting, I believe all 3 of the board members by the time of the trip will be 18 years old. I also, negative? I'm sorry. Yeah, I know, but I think it's just worth noting. I thought it would be. And also, because we're missing 2 of the reps here tonight, I would be hesitant to put anything in writing of what is going to be expected, because we wouldn't have their input in it, and it'd be a little bit, in my opinion, I think it would undermine what we're trying to do, which is empower them.
I mean, I will definitely go back and get the insurance question, answered. And so if you approve this today, we'll do that. And then we will also follow up individually with the students to make sure that they are, that they still want to do it, that their parents are okay with, with them going on the trip, and, then going forward with reservations and bookings and so on. So.
Okay. So we'll vote on the amendment, which is to allocate $19,000 from the board contingency fund to be used for 4 board members and 3 student reps to attend the 2019 National School Board Association Annual Conference in the spring. All those in favor? It is unanimous with the student voting in the affirmative. And so now I guess we have to vote on the main motion. So all those in favor of approving an allocation of $19,000 from the board contingency fund to be used for 4 board members and 3 student reps to attend the 2019 National School Board Association NSBA Annual Conference in the spring, please indicate. That's unanimous with the student voting in the affirmative. And we have no personnel this evening. We have no public this evening. So I'd call for a motion for adjournment. Ms. Thompson, seconded by Mr. Balfonts. All those in favor? It's unanimous with the student voting in the affirmative.